Live from the Pix 11 Social Media Center, she's got more than 30 years on the streets as an investigative reporter. Now, Pix 11's Mary Murphy takes you deep into the world of cold cases, terrorism, America's drug crisis, and more. These are the Mary Murphy Files.
Good evening. Thank you for joining me tonight. And I'm hoping we don't have any technical glitches like we did last Monday evening, but I have to thank you, the viewers, for being patient. And we got most of them resolved, and we were able to put the show from last week online the next day for you to review in case you missed it. I hope a lot of you are joining me here tonight. Week 2 of jury selection in the junior case, and we're only up to 6 jurors so far. I was at the jury selection process today. It was very interesting to observe. I was watching it from a 6th floor courtroom on Skype. Sometimes there were technical issues there. We had some audio problems, and one time the screen went black, but then they got it fixed pretty quickly. And we heard a lot of the questioning that was being done to the prospective jurors. First, let me start a footage from last year when the 5 suspects that are facing the first trial were initially arrested in June. They look a lot different now. Today in court, 4 of them had on dark suits, and one of them, Jose Muniz, the one who was called the machete guy, there you see him there. He's wearing, today in court, he was wearing a crisp white shirt and a tie, and he was looking very intently at the potential jurors who were being questioned. I saw 8 people in the box today. First, the judge questioned them, Robert Neary, and then the defense and the prosecutors had their chance. A lot of them were asked in their questionnaires what they knew about the case. There were at least 30-plus questions that they had to fill out in the last few days, and they brought the questionnaires back today, and they were asked what they knew about the case and what they had seen in surveillance footage, and you know so many of us have seen that footage in the last 10 months. The judge said, if you're picked for this case, you have to stay off social media. Now, there was one item of business that has been settled, something we told you about last week. One of the defendants, Jonaiki Martinez Estrella, he wanted his own jury to decide his case, separate from the other 4 defendants. Actually, they kind of wanted their own jury because Jonaiki has been accused of inflicting the fatal blow in Junior's neck, the stab wound that killed the 15-year-old last June 20th. So some of the other defendants really wanted a separate jury to consider their case. Well, it turns out the judge said no. There are going to be 5 of them, 1 jury. We don't know if there'll be any last-minute changes if someone decides to plead guilty. You know, we'll wait and see on that. But today was the first day that Junior's mother, Leandra Felice, actually came to court for the jury selection process. And we asked her a question on the way in. You want to see the jury selection for yourself, Mrs. Felice?
Yes, I'm coming to see what's going on, how is everything going.
Are you glad there will only be 1 jury for the first case?
I'm sorry, say that.
Are you glad there will only be 1 jury for the first case, not 2? Jonaiki will be part of the same jury as the other 4.
He's going to be together with the 4?
He'll be together.
Oh, that sounds, I think it should be because they did all together. They killed my son, more than 16 people. They were together. They did it all together, all in one. Only 16 people for 1 kid, innocent kid. Innocent, no gang member.
What do you
15 years old.
What do you think of Jonaiki?
He never been into any fire in his short life. Never.
What do you think of Jonaiki trying to get a plea bargain if he could get 20 years and the possibility of parole?
He don't deserve that. He don't have no heart to kill a baby. Why are they gonna leave those killers outside the street killing more people in the future? They have to secure the city for all of us.
Anything in your pockets?
No, sir. Thank you.
And turn, please. Thank you. Just remember, no cell phone use inside the courtroom, right?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Now, that was in courtroom 620, 6th floor in the Bronx Hall of Justice. The real courtroom where Judge Robert Neary presides is on the lower level of the courthouse, and that's where the potential jurors are being questioned, and we are not allowed in there during these proceedings where the jury is being selected. We have to stay on a totally separate floor. Once the trial starts, we will be allowed in, but no cameras will be allowed in the courtroom. We're expecting that there will be audio allowed for the opening arguments, and the judge said that's supposed to happen next week, Monday, April 29th. We only have 6 jurors so far, 6 more to go, plus we may need 6 alternates, so it's not really clear that the opening arguments will happen next Monday. You know, there were a lot of people questioned today. A lot of them were women. When I was there watching the proceedings, there were 8 people in the box, 7 women, 1 man. And one woman was from Trinidad, and she said that her husband had been killed there 20 years ago in a case of mistaken identity. And we know from the Junior case that police have said that's what happened to the teenager. The woman said, though, that she believed she could be objective. Quote, "I believe in not being judgmental." Another woman said, "I'm not sure who's innocent or guilty. I've only seen a little video." But she was emphatic when she stated, "I cannot honestly say these gentlemen are guilty of what they're accused of. Their faces are blurry," she said. Now, you look at that surveillance again. We're only showing the stuff that is not too graphic. This woman said she had worked in an environment that made her familiar with gang activity. Now, at this point, when the prosecutor got a chance to question the jurors, she seemed to focus on this woman who talked about having worked with people that were involved with gang activity. And her name is Morgan Dolan, the lead prosecutor. We have footage of her from a couple of weeks ago during pretrial hearings. And she said to the judge she wasn't sure this potential juror would not be affected by her background dealing with gangs. Judge Robert Neary is no nonsense. He keeps the proceedings moving along. And he asked also if any prospective jurors had family who worked in law enforcement. Some had relatives who were corrections officers. One person had an uncle who is a cop in the Bronx. The judge pointed out that law enforcement people are human beings too. All testimony, he said, has to be evaluated fairly. And at one point, he even said there are some good police officers. See, I almost stumbled on this. He said there are some good police officers and some, he said, are knuckleheads. Those are the judge's words. But he's trying to point out that we're all human beings and testimony has to really be evaluated fairly. When the prosecutor got her turn to question the 8 potential jurors that I saw in the box, she asked, if I can prove the case, can you convict them? And she then asked a bold question about people who are called rats on the street, a person giving information. We know that witness A in the case is a cooperating witness who started talking to police last June 23rd, 2.5 days after Junior's murder. The judge then noted if somebody testifies who's an informant, their testimony has to be corroborated. Some of the defense attorneys wanted to make sure that the potential jurors would be able to follow the law as explained by the judge. The defendants are also charged with lesser crimes. Murder is the top count, but it's not the only count that the jury would have to consider. Now, when the judge broke for lunch at 1:19 this afternoon, we spoke again to Leandra Felice about what could be lying ahead when the trial starts and when she might hear some difficult things in court.
Ms. Felice, can you come here a minute? Just stop for a second.
Yes. Hello.
So you've listened to the pretrial hearings, now you're watching jury selection. Are you worried about some of what you may hear at the trial if a defense attorney tries to make Junior look bad?
They're trying to play dirty, but I'm believing God, and then everything's gonna be all right because everybody saw the videos. Everybody know what they did. They just abusing an innocent baby, innocent kid. He was no gang member, and all of them killed my son together in the worst, horrible tragedy seen in New York. I think so.
When you heard them say in court that he was affiliated with the Trinitario Sunset Group, were you upset by that?
Yeah, because they wanna dirty my son. My son was no gang member. He was a good kid. He never been into any fire, not even in the school, not even in the park, not even in the neighborhood. No,
never got in fights.
Never. He was a good kid, quiet kid. He only liked to play a lot of PlayStation, play forward. And he was good, sweet kid, always happy, smiling. He never had nothing to see with affiliated with any gang, because we're living in the neighborhood with only a gang, and we know each other, everybody, and then that's not make me give to like gang members. You know, I cannot be enemy from everybody, but that's what it is in the neighborhood where I was used to live. That's what they have, just gang.
And you know, we have a lot of people watching. Once again, we really appreciate that you've kept up with our coverage of this case. I have Cheyenne, who just wrote in on Pix 11 Facebook. She's watching from New Zealand, on the other side of the world, a different time zone. And I also want to acknowledge all the people who are following on Instagram. And a lot of you wrote to me today, as you have in the past, a woman, Viv Mashem, and she said, I was at St. Barnabas today with my daughter in the emergency room and took a walk from the booth where Junior collapsed to the store where this all happened. My heart was filled with so much sadness at the short distance and the huge battle that he fought to save himself. Hashtag Justice for Junior. Another person wrote to me from Philadelphia, and Nancy Berry, New York, said on Instagram, the questions are very interesting. The answer will speak about the person. Someone else said something about the question concerning rats, informants, saying they wanted to see if they ever ratted someone out or if they knew a rat in their lives. Why? Because sometimes rats lie to get their way. They wanted to see if they were cool with a rat getting his or her way. Well, you know, there are all kinds of informants. Some of them tell the truth. Some may not, but that is going to be for the jury to evaluate. And, you know, it was just interesting to me. It was sort of startling when the prosecutor used that term, but she was smart. She was putting it out there early because at least one of the witnesses we know is a cooperating witness who went in early to talk to the police and ended up identifying the suspects, sometimes using Facebook footage. And actually another person referred to as witness C was actually someone who ended up getting charged with murder in the second degree. I was told that this person may not be testifying, but it was just interesting. He is referred to as witness C. So the latest in the Junior case, 6 jurors apparently now selected. 6 more are needed just to get a full 12 for the panel. But then that's not all. You need 6 additional alternates. This trial is supposed to go at least a month. The judge is hoping to start it next Monday, April 29th. It's unclear whether that will happen. The process will have to speed up. I'm told that on Wednesdays there's no court. So you have tomorrow, Tuesday, and you have Thursday and Friday. Of course, I'll update you on Instagram and on Facebook and on Twitter any new development. I really appreciate that you've been staying with us for this coverage, and I hope you will continue to follow us. For now, Mary Murphy reporting from the Social Media Center, Pix 11 Facebook Live. See you next time.